Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Mrs. Force and I will be reading for you your Week 6 U.S. History quiz. Please make sure that as you're going through that you pause the video at any point that you need to be able to use your resources and look up information. Press play when you're ready to resume again. And also refer to your U.S. History teacher if you have any questions. Let's begin and good luck. Number 1. Nullification is the act of declaring a law void. During the nullification crisis of the 1830s, this referred to the belief that a state had the right to reject federal laws that the state deems unconstitutional. What risk did the nullification crisis create for the nation? The risk to the country was the presidency turning into a dictatorship. The risk to the country was the possibility of states seceding from the Union. The risk to the country was that people were being taxed unfairly. The risk to the country was that states may begin fighting with each other over their alliances. Question number 2. Why were the Missouri Compromise and the Compromise of 1850 unsuccessful in preventing the Civil War? They upset the balance between slave and free states in the nation. They led to federal laws making slavery illegal in the U.S. They only settled the disagreements of the time and were not long-term solutions to the issue of slavery. They made people realize that slavery was not an issue in the U.S. Question number 3. What was the result of the Kansas-Nebraska Act? Slavery expanding into new territories won in the Mexican War. The death of Senator Charles Sumner of Massachusetts. Peace agreements between the Free Soilers and pro-slavery settlers. Or popular sovereignty led to corrupted elections, violence, and political chaos. Question 4. Which 3 of the following statements explain the Supreme Court's ruling in the Dred Scott court case? Again, you are looking for 3 answers. Slaves were not considered citizens of the United States. Slavery was to be prohibited in all territories. The 13th Amendment ending slavery was unconstitutional. Congress had no right to restrict slavery in the territories, therefore it was allowed in all territories. It overturned the Missouri Compromise, which prohibited slavery north of the 3630 parallel. Remember, you are looking for 3 answers to check. Question number 5. After Abraham Lincoln won the election of 1860, South Carolina decided that as a state they must do what? Demand a recount of the popular vote? Reform the presidential election process? Secede or withdraw from the Union? Abolish slavery before Lincoln could, and save some of their honor? Question number 6. Which action is viewed as the official start of the Civil War? The attack on Fort Sumter, Abraham Lincoln becoming president, the existence of slavery, the Battle of Gettysburg. Question number 7. There were 4 border states that served as a buffer for the Union from the Confederacy. Why was it important that Maryland, one of the border states, stay on the side of the Union? because it was the first state in the Union and had patriotic connections for many citizens, because the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. would have been surrounded by Confederate states if Maryland had left the Union, because the Union would have lost access to the South for offensive attacks, because the number of Union and Confederate states needed to stay equal for the balance of power in Congress. Question number 8. Which accurately describes the South's strengths at the beginning of the Civil War? The South produced almost all of the food crops in the United States. The South's well-established government gave it a distinct advantage. The South's superior railroad system allowed supplies to be moved easier. The South had numerous experienced military officers to lead its army. Question 9. Which was not, so you're looking for the one that is not a strength of the North at the beginning of the Civil War. They had several successful military colleges, the ability to manufacture firearms, an existing army, miles of railroad tracks. And question number 10. What had Abraham Lincoln assumed before the first Battle of Bull Run? He would have to recruit many more soldiers. Slaves would rebel and join Northern forces. The South could easily be defeated. The Union could continue with both free states and slave states. Once you're finished, make sure that there's a green check mark in all of these boxes and that everything was completed. You can then go ahead and click Submit Quiz. Double check in your gradebook that a grade has been recorded. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, please make sure that you're reaching out to your U.S. history teacher.